Time for another Blade Tech knife review. This is a very small EDC carrying knife. That's the category we're talking about. The knife itself is the Mouse Lite, again by Blade Tech. It's a very small folding knife that you could use for EDC carry. Now, there's some things about this knife which I really dig, and there's some things on this knife that I don't dig so much. And I gotta be honest, like I always try to be on all my videos. So here we go. First off, let's get the bad out of the way. Sooner or later I'm going to get to it. First, the thing that I don't care for on this Mouse Lite is the opening, and that's because it's very grinding. If you open it, it's just not a smooth opening. If you hear it, listen. It almost feels like it's metal on metal. Not great. Now, is it a showstopper? I'm going to say almost. Almost. The reason I'm going to say it's not totally a showstopper is because this is a very affordable knife. On their website, $24. You could probably find it for less around. So that's a very affordable knife. So we got to be somewhat realistic at this price point of what we're going to get. Now, that being said, there's a lot of other knives near or at this price point that don't have such a grindy feel to it. So again, I don't care for that. In fact, it's almost so stiff that it makes one-hand deployment impossible. Now, did I get a lemon or maybe a knife that has some issues? I don't know. But I got to go off of what I got, and this knife is hard to open. Plain and simple. Also, the lockup is not totally tight, but it's not bad. Up and down, you can hear that. There is a little bit of play in that lockup. Not super great. Side to side, it's very tight. There's no movement at all. And truth be told, in an EDC knife, especially for a lot of folks, they won't even detect it. I'm just very anal about my my lockups. I want them super tight, and as Benchmade and Spyderco have shown, and actually other Blade Tech models, it's very doable. Even at a lower price point, we can have a very tight locking knife. And like I reviewed earlier, the Ganyana, that knife has no play at all. And it's also in the Lite series. So high quality, economically priced blade, no lockup problems at all. So it's doable. Now, that's the bad thing. The lockup's not great, and the opening's kind of grindy, i.e. gritty. But the rest is pretty good about the knife. First off, the weight. The weight's very light, about 2.2 ounces on my scale. That's a lightweight blade. And it's a great EDC carry weight. I love my light knives, all of them light as possible, and this one's no different. So great job on the weight. Also, even though the blade is small, it's just under 2 inches, it's very functional, the blade is. In fact, for EDC tasks, it's almost ideal for opening packages, what I do a lot with my EDC tasks. It's ideal. It's got a nice sweep on it. You can either go here in the thumb deployment hole to hold the blade, or on top on the thumb ramp that is nicely jimped, by the way, really nicely, or on the front of the blade, kind of like the Spyderco Jester is. And that's really nice. So you can get a nice control on your cut with that blade. Really nice design by Tim Wegner on all these Blade Tech blades. Most of them. I don't so much care for the Imlek, but the other ones are nice, and this one's no different. Now, that being said, let's compare it against my other standard for EDC knives, and that's the SOG Flash 1, which I've talked about a lot, and that blade is a little bit longer. And truth be told, this is a better EDC option for me, and also their Ganyana that I just reviewed in a separate video. Go look at that one. I like this blade shape better. But there is a lot to be said for this blade. It's very functional in the sweep cut, and it's very strong too. It's very thick, amazingly thick for as small a knife as it is. It's 1/8 of an inch thick, which I think is a stout slab of steel. But I like the blade shape. You know, I would like to go longer with my EDCs, but that's just me. Made out of AUS-8 steel, which I think is an excellent choice at this affordability price range. It's really good. AUS-8 is a high quality steel at this price range. We're talking a $25 knife, more or less. and I'll say it does fine. So not too shabby there. Now the handle is the slick FRN or fiber reinforced nylon or Zytel, same thing, and they say that it's supposed to have the same texture as it was molded to have the same texture as their G10 kind of lock off that PH Magnum I reviewed, and I'm going to tell you right now it in no way has that same texture. It's very slick on the left here. The G10 just, if you want texturing like G10, guess what, you're going to have to spend more and get a G10 handled knife. That's just the way it is. Now that being said, it's an EDC knife, so I'm not really concerned that it's a little bit slick on the side. Truth be told, this scale right here is identical to the Ontario Rat 1 folding knife handle that I previously reviewed in a separate video. The handle materials are identical. Probably the same supplier, just in different colors. And they're very, very similar. Just equally slick too. But this is an affordable knife too. So again, let's be realistic on what we expect out of a $25 price point, and I think the handle is fine. And thankfully, good job Blade Tech, they didn't put steel liners in this knife. It would have been ludicrous to do that. In fact, in most EDC knives, I think it is. It just adds unnecessary weight. We just don't need it, especially if the synthetic handle materials we use these days is so strong, including FRN. So, how's the ergonomics on the blade? Overall, pretty excellent. It's very nice in hand. It's small, and there is a lot of demand for small little EDC knives like this. I've seen them. I've heard a lot of people talking about them. This is a very popular form factor for EDC. A lot of people just dig it. They like the look of it. They like the controllability of the blade. You know, maybe most of their tasks are accomplished by a blade that's around 2 inches long. I don't see any problems with that at all. I'm totally on board with that. And this knife is very ergonomic. Feels good in the hand. Again, that jimping totally helps. The lockup, unlike the other ones, and I forgot to talk about that. Let me briefly talk to the other Blade Techs. The Ganyana first is a liner lock, and maybe a little bit on the thin side, the liner lock itself, and I would like to see that a little bit thicker. But again, this is an EDC knife, not a tactical knife, so it'll function just fine. And then on the Blade Tech PH Magnum, that one's on the order of a Benchmade Deja Vu in terms of the liner lock fitness. Some of you guys may have issues with it. There's a Deja Vu on the right, there's the Benchmade PH Magnum on the left. They're almost identical, so it's very adequate, I think. Now, some guys will say, I still don't trust that liner lock. It's way too thin. I'd want something stronger. I understand that. And depending on what you do with the blade, that could very well be the case. But overall, I think it'll be adequate for the purposes. Sorry I added it to this video, but I forgot to mention the last one. Anyways, back to the Mouse Lite. This is a lockback version, and it's very strong, the lockback. So if that's what you want, more strength in your locking mechanism, well, this might be your EDC option for you, especially for affordable EDC. Now, I'm going to get back to that grinding. Some of you guys are looking for, and I get PMs from you, hey, I want something that's affordable EDC. Don't rule this one out. Just because I'm criticizing it on these things, in other words, the grindiness, that could probably be solved by you. You could take the knife apart, see what it is, and polish it with some flits and get in there, and I could probably do that in half an hour, and it would be worth the work that you'd put into it. So this is an excellent EDC option. Remember, it's very affordable, and most of it's good. Great blade shape, good steel, really thick blade, flat ground, by the way, love that. Flat ground blade, that's really hard to find on an EDC knife. How's the clip? It's adequate. This one, by the way, sings to you. Sounds like a chirping cricket when you flick it. The other ones don't. I don't know why I'm even showing you that. It's just funny. It's about the same clip on the other ones. I would not know if they're going to be durable or not, except through the passage of time. The clip on the Blade Techs, I'm not a super fan of. I would like to see it lower profile. Maybe knock off a little bit of this portion here. They're just a little bit goofy to me, but definitely functionable, and time will tell if it will bend or not. And if it, guess what, if it bends, just take it off with some Torx and rebend it back. It should be fine. Finally, I wish the handle did not totally occlude the deployment hole, or occlude it at all, so we could deploy it easier. Got it in though. That's a Benchmade Mouse Lite. It actually is a good value EDC knife, especially if you can clean up the pivot. Over and out.